Hello, everyone. I am Sean, and welcome once again to my Horror Corner. Thank you so much for watching the video today. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to listen to me and watch my video. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And to those of you who have subscribed to the channel, um, yeah, your support means the world to me. So a special thank you to you. I've said this before, but I really, when I first started doing this, even a couple years ago, when I started a YouTube channel, I really never expected a huge following. I was just doing it because it was fun, because I love horror, and it gave me a way to talk about it. Had a lot going on and had to shut the channel down, but started again last year. And to have, I don't know, I think at this time it's like 59 or 60 of you that um, subscribe. I know that's a small number compared to so many other channels, but it really means a lot to me. So thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. Today, we're going to be talking about a movie that I'm really excited to talk about. It's a movie that, when it first came out, I was a huge fan of. I absolutely loved this movie. I watched it so many times in the first couple of years that the movie was out. You would think I would have gotten sick of it. I didn't. I mean, it was definitely one of my absolute favorites. It has now been years since I have watched this movie until today. And so I was really looking forward to watching it, really looking forward to talking about it. And yeah, we'll see if my opinion of it holds up, if I'm still a huge fan, or if it's dropped a little bit. It's a movie that I don't think gets talked about a whole lot. And yeah, let me just go ahead and say now it deserves more recognition. So that tells you I do like the movie. I'm talking about Darkness Falls from 2003. This is one of the only movies that I still have on DVD. Um, and nothing else. I mean, I have some DVDs, but I also have upgrades of them into Blu-rays, 4Ks, that kind of thing. This I only have on DVD. I don't know if it's available on anything else. I actually looked a little bit the other day and couldn't find it on anything. I would really like to see this movie get like a 4K upgrade, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, Darkness Falls today from 2003 is what we're going to be discussing. So let me grab my notes. Let me grab my glasses so I can read my notes. Getting old is no fun, just to let you know. Let me get a drink of iced coffee. All right, now we can get started. So, Darkness Falls 2003, a overview real quick from Rotten Tomatoes website says in Maine, the residents of Darkness Falls are all aware of the legend of Matilda Dixon, an old woman who was tragically murdered by a mob in the 1800s because the townspeople thought she was killing children. Now Darkness Falls has to contend with Matilda's supernatural wrath. Childhood friends Kyle and Caitlin return home to uncover the truth behind the legend after Caitlin's little brother has reoccurring nightmares about Matilda. Excuse me. So there's an overview of the film. The movie was released January 24th of 2003, directed by Jonathan Liebsman, screenplay by Joe Harris, James Vanderbilt, and John Fasano, story by Joe Harris, produced by John Fasano, John Hedgeman, William Sherrick, and Jason Schumann. Cinematography by Dan Lostein. Edited by Timothy Alverson and Steve Merkovich. Music by Brian Tyler. Production by Columbia Pictures, Revolution Studios, and Distant Corners. It was distributed by Sony Pictures. Runtime of 86 minutes. A budget of $11 million, box office of 47.5, so did fairly well. However, scores are not good for this movie. The Rotten Tomatoes critic score is only 10%, the audience score is only 34%, and it's just a 5 out of 10 on IMDb. Um, all of that absolutely blows my mind. I don't know why more people don't like this movie. I mean, I really, again, I don't want to spoil my complete opinion of this, but this just blows my mind that these scores are so low. I don't know, maybe there's something wrong with me or something, but I absolutely really like this film, so I don't understand. Critics' consensus from Rotten Tomatoes again says that this movie is a derivative movie where the scares are few and things don't make much sense. Um, I disagree. I disagree about the scares being few. As far as things don't making much sense, I mean, they make sense for the plot they give you. So, in horror movies, things don't often make a lot of sense. You have to suspend, I've said it before, you have to suspend disbelief when you watch horror. And so if you're watching horror wanting things to make sense, you're watching the wrong genre for the most part. So, yeah, that's why I don't pay a whole lot of attention to what, or put much stock in what critics say. Cast for the film, we have Cheney Clay as Kyle Walsh, excuse me, Emma Caulfield as Caitlin Green, Lee Cormie as Michael Green, Grant Pyro as Larry Fleischman, John Stanton as Captain Thomas Henry, Sullivan Stapleton as Officer Matt Henry, uh, Anthony Burroughs as Matilda Dixon, with Gary Heckler doing Matilda's voice. Joshua Anderson plays a young Kyle, and Emily Browning plays a young Caitlin. Few things as far as behind the scenes. Don't have a whole lot as far as production facts and things like that for this film, but I will give you a few things here and there, and some things that I think could have been a little bit interesting, perhaps. But anyway, yeah. So the film was initially, if you've seen this movie, you know where it goes. If you haven't seen the film, I'm telling you right now, I'm about to start spoiling things for you. So I don't know if this film is streaming anywhere. I did not search. I normally try to look at that so I can let you know. I did not look for this one. Like I said, I have it on DVD, so I just watched it today when I got home from work on DVD. But um, if you haven't seen the movie, pause this, go see if you can find it. If you don't care, just go ahead and continue to listen to me. But yeah, so the film was initially supposed to have Kyle as a much more troubled individual. Now he's pretty troubled anyway, but the film was supposed to have him much more troubled, and the existence of the Tooth Fairy was going to be just vaguely mentioned. To make audiences question throughout the film, was there really a Tooth Fairy killing people, or was this Kyle? Was Kyle the killer? Um, Things had really been kind of completed when producers decided to change things up a little bit, cut out some footage, do a few different things here and there, and go ahead and do it the way that we see it now. Um, the movie, despite these low ratings, and one of the things I wanted to mention, despite the low critic scores, despite the low audience scores, it did debut at number one its opening weekend. And then Joe Harris, who I had mentioned wrote the story that this was based off of, also wrote a prequel comic. I think that would be kind of cool to find out there somewhere. And then Keith DeCandido wrote a novelization of the film. I really like it when they do these novelizations of movies because I do like to read. So I would, again, I may try to look for this one and try to read it. I'm interested because sometimes novels just give you so much more. So I'm kind of curious about that as well. I may try to do some digging and see if I can't find that. If anyone else has seen it or has it or has read it, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about the novel compared to the movie. I am very curious. So we're going to go ahead now and start walking through the plot. Kind of giving you my opinion as we go through this a little bit. As always, I've kind of broken this movie down into a few different sections. I've actually got it into 6 sections basically, but I'll have a few comments to make here and there about each one and kind of go through some things. So opening of the film, we get to see a lot of pictures of the 1800s, a lot of kids, a few characters here and there, Matilda for one, and we're getting this narration of Matilda's story. That she was an elderly widow, she was loved by the children, and that anytime a child lost their tooth, Matilda would give them a gold coin, thus earning her the name the Tooth Fairy. However, one night a tragic fire in her home left Matilda very disfigured and very sensitive to light, to the point that she would only go out at nighttime, and every time she did go out, she was wearing this porcelain mask. Townspeople thought that Matilda was actually a witch, and when a couple of children didn't come home and were missing, the townspeople then, attack Matilda. They bring her out, they rip her mask off, exposing her to light, and they hang her. But as Matilda is dying, she places a curse upon the town of Darkness Falls and swears revenge, making the statement, "What I took before in kindness, I will take forever in revenge." The 2 children that were missing then end up resurfacing. The townspeople realize they've made a mistake and they try to bury what has happened. But Matilda's spirit continues to visit children whenever they lose their last baby tooth, and anyone who ends up seeing her face is killed. That's our opening, this narration of Matilda's backstory. I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything absolutely amazing about it that stands out and makes it great. But at the same time, it's fine as well. It sets up our plot. It tells us, again, the backstory for Matilda, for the Tooth Fairy. and why this is going on. So again, for critics to make the comment that this doesn't make much sense, well, in the real world, maybe it does not, but we just got everything laid out for us, and what happens the rest of the movie lines up with this. So why critics don't think it makes sense, I don't honestly know. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's a decent opening. The pictures that we see are kind of cool. The narration's fine. And again, just giving us that backstory. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Not much else to go from there. But from there, we then move into, we get introduced to a young Kyle Walsh, who, as a teenager, is losing his last baby tooth. He has a moment where, after he has, pulled his tooth, he hears some things. He thinks something's going on, and it turns out to be his friend Caitlin. They talk for a little bit. You can tell there's kind of a crush thing going on there, as they talk about going to a dance together and share a kiss, that kind of thing. And then, as Caitlin leaves, she tells Kyle, if the Tooth Fairy does come, be sure you don't look. And you know, Kyle ends up going to bed. While he's asleep, he hears a lot of noises. Starts getting scared, thinks there's something going on. He's underneath his blanket with it pulled over his head, but he gets a flashlight, and then he finally pulls the cover down. And when he does, there is Matilda, the Tooth Fairy, hovering above him. He shines the light in her face, and because she's sensitive to light, she has to kind of back off. Um, Kyle's mother hears this. She comes rushing into the room. Kyle tries to explain to her what's going on. She's looking around and telling him there's nothing there. And then suddenly she looks to the side and she sees the Tooth Fairy that attacks her and kills her. Kyle takes off to the bathroom, a very well lit bathroom, and is hiding in the bathtub. The door flies open, but the Tooth Fairy can't get to him because of all of the light. And we get what I think is the coolest scene in the movie. It's something that has stuck with me from the very first time I saw this film. I thought the scene was done so incredibly well, and to me, it's the creepiest, and I'll even say it, even scariest scene in the movie. Now, when I watched the film today, did it scare me? No, it did not. I've seen it so many times, but I still love it. I still love the scene so much, and I do think it's very creepy. And it's the scene of, Kyle's sitting in the bathtub of this bathroom, and the camera's backing out, and we see the Tooth Fairy just kind of hovering above the door, like she's waiting, hoping that he'll come out, or the lights will go off, or where she can go in, or something. And it's just so well shot, and such a creepy scene. I have remembered that for years. I mean, the movies, it's 2025. The movie came out in 2003, so 22 years, I guess, something like that. And I have still remembered that scene. I just think it's so well done and such a great scene. Um, the police then show up the next morning. The police show up, and they believe that, because no one believes this whole Tooth Fairy thing, they believe that Kyle has killed his mother and he is sent to an institution. And then we will skip ahead again. So from there, we go 12 years later, and we are introduced to Caitlin now that she has grown up and is an adult, and she has searched out and tracked Kyle down and reached out to Kyle for help because her younger brother Michael is experiencing night terrors. He is terrified of the dark. He's having bad dreams. He's afraid of this Tooth Fairy thing. He won't sleep for more than 10 minutes at a time. He's been through hospitals and things, just having a lot of problems. She doesn't really know how to help him. I don't think there's ever a mention of their parents. Maybe there was, and I just missed it. But it appears that she, has him and is taking care of him, and just doesn't know what to do in this situation. So, knowing what Kyle went through, and herself believing that Kyle was innocent and did not kill his mother, she reaches out to Kyle for help. And we then are introduced to Kyle, and he's definitely still got some issues. When we see him when they're talking on the phone, we see he's got drawings all over his apartment or house there of the Tooth Fairy. He's got lights everywhere. He's got tons of flashlights. We can tell that he's definitely still affected by this. But because it's Caitlin, Kyle does come to see if there's anything he can do to possibly help Michael. And so we then kind of get into the next section of the film. I'm going to kind of cover quite a bit here in this one little section. Shrink it down. I won't go through everything, but Kyle is trying to warn people about the Tooth Fairy, and he really comes across a lot of unfortunate things. He ends up coming across a guy who is interested in Caitlin and can't stand the fact that Kyle's back, because he tells Kyle at one point that no guy has ever had a chance in this town, because Kyle is all Caitlin thinks about. So he kind of has to deal with this guy a little bit. They're at a bar, and people think he's crazy, and so there's a guy kind of trying to bully him. Kyle steps outside. This guy ends up coming out after him, and they kind of get into a fight. In the process of this, however, though, because it's dark, the Tooth Fairy is around, and this guy who Kyle is fighting sees the Tooth Fairy. Kyle takes off, and the Tooth Fairy kills this guy. The police, now knowing that the guy was fighting Kyle, they think Kyle has now killed this guy. He ends up in jail. Um, the gentleman that is interested in Caitlin is an attorney, and he ends up bailing Kyle out, but he basically wants to get Kyle out of town, so that, get away from Caitlin. Um, but there's a scene then when he and Kyle are in a car. Again, it's night. The Tooth Fairy ends up being around, causing them to have a wreck, and then ends up attacking the lawyer and killing him as well. And again, Kyle ends up getting the blame for it. Now he goes back to the hospital right as they're about to put Michael into the dark. They're going to run these tests, or do this test where they submerge Michael in the dark to try to show him that his fears aren't real. But of course, he's terrified. He's afraid that this is it. He's going to die now. Kyle shows up and is able to stop that from happening right before Michael goes into the dark. But the police show up and end up taking Kyle again. And then we get to the police station, where we get another pretty cool scene, in my opinion, where Kyle is in jail, and suddenly the lights go out at the police station, and the Tooth Fairy just starts attacking and killing the cops one by one. And it kind of reminds me now, a little bit of the Jeepers Creepers scene, where in the first film, where the brother and sister are in the police station, and the creeper shows up and starts wiping out the cops. This reminds me a little bit of that. Um, but again, I think it's a good scene. I think we get some cool visuals. Some, the effects are fine. Again, maybe a few good jump scares here and there. I don't find it scary now, but I think there are some good jump scares there, and yeah, it's just a good scene, in my opinion. Um, Kyle ends up getting away. He goes back to the hospital. The Tooth Fairy is following him. There's a lot going on. Other doctors, nurses, they now see the Tooth Fairy, and so they're trying to help Kyle and Caitlin and Michael escape. In the process, of course, these doctors and nurses all get killed. One of the cops, that's the only cop that survived this massacre at the police station, ends up showing up and helping them get to a lighthouse. And they're thinking at this lighthouse they can, be safe there, get these lights going there. It'll be very bright. They'll be safe. But there is a gas leak that's causing the light to not stay on. And in the process of trying to fix this, the other cop gets killed. And so then we kind of have our final confrontation, really between Kyle and the Tooth Fairy. He's able to get things going a little bit, and the light comes back on from the lighthouse right about the time that the Tooth Fairy snatches Kyle up and has got him. And so there's this battle, and the light's hitting the Tooth Fairy occasionally. The Tooth Fairy's trying to kill Kyle. They're up in the air. Caitlin and Michael are watching. Again, kind of a cool scene, I think. Again, not great, nothing amazing or outstanding, but still pretty cool and enjoyable. Kyle ends up knocking off the mask off the Tooth Fairy, which, so when the light hits her now, when it's coming around and hits her again, does even more damage to her. And then because there's also fire around now, Kyle sets his sleeve on fire, and then brings it across the Tooth Fairy's face, which causes her to burst into flames. She drops Kyle, and the Tooth Fairy is finally destroyed by this fire. And then we'll cut away one more time to a scene where you see this young boy in a house, and he's talking with his dad, and he's just lost his tooth. His dad's, they're putting it under the pillow, and his dad's telling him to go to sleep. And this boy lays there for a few minutes, and then he starts to hear something, and he says, "Tooth Fairy," and it turns out it's just his mom, and she's just there to put some money under the pillow, and tells him everything's fine. And then that's it. That is Darkness Falls. And then a really cool song comes on. It's by some group called Gunboat. I remember loving this song back in the day. I only had heard it because of this movie. Yeah, absolutely love the song that plays there at the end, just to let you know. So, yeah, that's Darkness Falls. So, actually, I don't really need my glasses now. So let's kind of go back here a little bit. Um, when I mention normally when I mention the cast, I try to talk about performances and things a little bit, and I didn't do that this time, but I'll kind of go back and do that now. I really feel like everybody again does a good job here. Uh, it's not that any particular one performance is absolutely amazing, but I think everybody does a fine job. Everything's acted well, everyone does well. So the performances are good. Score for the movie is not bad. I do like the soundtrack, especially that song at the end. I really like this story. I'm sure there are a lot of horror movies out there as far as the Tooth Fairy. I know for a fact there's one that's just called the Tooth Fairy. I've never seen it. Um, but I just think this one does so well with that. I mean, as kids, we'd all heard of the Tooth Fairy. We all had that thing going on where, if we lost a tooth, we put it under our pillow and we got money. But I think this is the coolest scary story that I've ever seen or heard where the Tooth Fairy is concerned. So I really like this story. I think the pacing is good. I think it goes by. Sorry, my dog was down there by my legs. Um, the movie, again, just under an hour and a half runtime, but so it's not a long movie anyway. But I think it moves incredibly quickly. When I watched it again today, I was kind of surprised it was over so quick. I mean, it feels like it goes by so fast to me. I think the pacing is really good in this film. And then, yeah, I really like the look of the Tooth Fairy. I think there are some good jump scares here and there when the Tooth Fairy swoops in and takes someone. Whether it's the guy that Kyle gets into a fight with there outside the bar, whether it's a couple of cops, the attorney, just some different ones here and there that get snatched up. There's a few good jump scares here and there. Critics talked about a few scares. I guess I get it. I mean, there's not, a lot of very terrifying moments in this movie, but there are, I think, some good jump scares, basically. And then again, I'll say, I mentioned it a while ago, I absolutely love the scene in the beginning of the film. It's my favorite scene in the whole movie, and one of my favorite scenes, I think, in horror movies, period. That scene where the young Kyle is in the bathtub, in the bathroom, and the Tooth Fairy is hovering above the bathroom door. I just absolutely love that scene. In 2003, I was, gosh, I don't know, in my early 30s. I mean, I'm old, right? So but I still thought that scene was scary then. And even though seeing it today, like I said, I don't think it's scary. I still think it's incredibly creepy and incredibly effective. It's just such an amazing scene that has stuck with me for years. Like I said, one of my favorite scenes in horror. So, rating this one, I really, really like this movie. I think it's so underappreciated. Um, I see people talk on social media from time to time about unappreciated horror movies or what's a horror movie that you think doesn't get enough attention. This is always my answer to that. I cannot believe this movie is not more popular than it is. I think it's such a great movie. So to rate this one on my scale of 1 to 10, um, is it perfect? No. Could it be scarier? Probably. Could it be gorier? Absolutely. Some of that. There are some things that the movie lacks, but I think what it does do, it does incredibly well. And again, that one scene just being amazing to me. Um, gosh, it's still going to be up there as one of I really really enjoy this movie. Um, I'm really struggling between a couple of things. I think on my scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to go 8.5. 8.5 out of 10 for me on this movie. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's good. Could it be better? Absolutely. Could things have been done a little bit differently? Again, yeah, some more gore, maybe a little scarier. Um, could there have been a few things here and there that made it better? Yes, but it's still really good, I think, and good at what it does. So 8.5 out of 10 for me on Darkness Falls. I think since I've changed my ratings to 1 to 10 instead of 1 to 5, this is the highest score I've given something since I made that change. So that ought to tell you how much I really enjoyed this movie. I want to know what you think. Are you a fan of Darkness Falls? Do you like this movie as much as I do? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you love it. I want to know. If not, that's fine too. Let me know what you don't like about it. But yeah, talk to me about Darkness Falls in the comments. Like the video today. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. Help me continue to get this channel to grow. Um, yeah, find me on social media. I'm on just about everything out there: Blue Sky, Instagram, um, Threads, TikTok, X. Yeah, you can find me in just about any of these just by looking for Sean's Horror Corner. Again, I'll tell you, X is just my Horror Corner because Sean's Horror Corner is too many characters. But yeah, follow me on social media. I do try to follow back as much as possible. Um, yeah, yeah. Subscribe to the channel. I try to get videos out every Monday and Thursday. Occasionally, I get a bonus episode out on Saturday. I do have a upcoming plan for some Saturday episodes. I am a huge fan. Sorry, I'm gathering some things up over here. I am a huge fan of the television show The Walking Dead. I absolutely love The Walking Dead, and I am thinking about going back to the beginning and going through that show um, season by season and reviewing those seasons and just putting those up for, it won't be every Saturday, obviously, because with work and watching other movies and just other things going on, I'm not going to watch a season a week, but just here and there, try to watch a season and then put out a Saturday episode to talk about. Yeah, that season of The Walking Dead. So that's possible. I'm curious what everybody thinks about that. So again, leave me some comments on that as well. When I do post videos, I put links on all my social media accounts. So feel free to share those and help me spread the word. And yeah, I think that will wrap up this episode. I will be back in a couple of days and we will be talking about Rob Zombie's 31. So that's the next episode, Rob Zombie's 31. Following that, I'll go ahead and give you a heads up. We are going to be, let me look at my schedule. Yeah, talking about an older classic, The Mystery of the Wax Museum. That'll be a first time watch for me. I've never seen that. I've seen House of Wax with Vincent Price from the 1950s. I've seen House of Wax from 2005, but I've never seen The Mystery of the Wax Museum. I believe it came out in the 30s. So I'm going to be watching that for the first time and then doing something on that. So yeah, that's the next couple of upcoming episodes, 31 and Mystery of the Wax Museum. So I hope you will join me for those. I've rambled enough. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.